I spend the rest of the party thinking about what the stupid old vampire said. No one else knows he's a vampire, of course. They can't see it because, of course, they can't. It's another one of those things I can't talk to Dr. RPIP about. I could talk to Otis about it, but he'd probably tell me to quit my job and stay away from monsters. That's what he says about all the monsters. That they're dangerous, stay away from them, always safer to run. And mostly he's right. If they're not in your hometown around every corner. And they are. Even Otis can't see some of them because he's not less than human like me. But the problem right now isn't that Frank is a vampire, or even that his name is Frank, which is a stupid name for a vampire. It's that I never connected with anyone here. Not really, because I was always 1 foot out the door. Worse, I wasn't even going anywhere. I'm never going anywhere. Until now. Now I'm going to college. Ha! See there, Frank. Fuck you, Frank. And Luke, with your stupid sexy arms and huge hands. The rest of the party's fine, quiet, and they sing For She's a Good Jolly Good Fellow. And there's cheap pizza and fancy cake and room temperature soda. It's okay, maybe even a little nice. Pretty soon the students outside, waiting for it to end, start to get a little restless, and Josh goes out to calm them down. Good old Josh. Never hit on me or got pervy with any of the students. Josh, who's trying to give me a couple more minutes to say goodbye to everyone. I get a hug from everyone. A couple hug from Joe and Sarah. A side hug from Audrey. The either too handsy or not handsy enough from Luke. The wave from Frank. I have very mixed feelings about Frank. I've always been really careful around Frank because unlike other people, I can't forget what he is. I have to be careful. Otis taught me to be careful. That being careful could save my life. But I've never seen Frank hurt anyone. He does have this aura of menace, though I don't think I've ever been alone with Frank until tonight. I will never be alone with Frank. I've always heard that if you live in a big enough town, or conversely a tiny one, there's bound to be something magical slinking around. I live in a medium-sized town which has just enough room to hide, as long as there's someone to hide behind. My friend, Augustine Castillo, is a terrible place to hide. She's shorter even than me. I think we still both could technically ride carnival rides, but I wouldn't bet on it. Sadly, this remains theoretical because I have a natural fear of people who roam along the edges of society with very little oversight or safety requirements. And she hates fun. That's not really fair. She probably doesn't hate fun. She probably loves fun. She just hates people, and so probably hates having fun near people. Or she likes people, but they constantly let her down, so she hates them for their potentialities. She's actually plenty fun when it's just us and a terrible movie or purple leaning to blue romance novel. I carefully pack up the half of the cake that's left rather than leave it to the vulturous teenagers who are my former coworkers. That cake is mine. And Augie's, I guess. I set it in the back of my mom's tiny car, which she's been graceful enough to loan me for work for the past few years. Augie and I are going to miss having a car when we move to a real college. Augie's been my best friend since second grade, and I can't help but feel that I've held her back that entire time. You know they warn you in safety courses to be careful approaching someone who's drowning, because in their desperation, through no fault of their own, they might pull you under in an attempt to save themselves? That was me in second grade. I'd been late to kindergarten, and not made a friend in the 2 years afterward. The fact that I could already read and do basic math didn't help, and I felt I was doomed to forever be the weird kid who ate alone and jumped at shadows. It's hard to adjust when finding out your imagination can kill you. So, when I heard there was a new girl who didn't know I was a social piranha, I attempted to befriend her. That's not a typo. Social piranha. It was way easier than I thought it would be. I'd been raised on brilliant fantasy and movies, so I assumed we have to survive a monster attack, or discover a gateway to a fictional land, or at least some sort of secret topiary or something. But I was prepared to follow her during a rainstorm into a storm grade, or some other storm-related heroism. Nope. I walked up to her at lunch and said hello. She said she was trying to become a vegetarian, but that her parents refused to acknowledge it. I traded her bologna sandwich for my baby carrots, and that was it. No storms of any kind. Our friendship was immediately tested when Sarah Engelbert came over to tell her she was eating with a freak. She was very polite about it, phrased it as a warning, prayed up in mean second grader language. But I still knew what she was saying. So apparently did Augustine. She shoved the table at her and knocked her down. I'll never forget the sound of Sarah's perfect dress tearing and the siren wail that came after it. I'll also never forget what came next. When Miss Hallowell, a saint who walks the earth, who taught us math and science, asked what happened, Augustine simply told her. There was no harnessing the truth or trying to escape blame. She told her straight, Sarah was mean to my friend. It hurt my friend's feelings, so I pushed the table toward her and she fell down. It meant the world to me that she emphasized that I was her friend. She was also my first and only real friend anywhere close to my age. My brother was kind of a friend. My little sister was definitely a friend, despite being 3 years my junior. Otis, I guess, and Bella, I guess. But they're more my parents' age. None of them were as fully committed to the friendship as Augie. My family is family. That hardly counts as friends. Otis and Bella are wrapped up in the world, which I assume is real, but I don't really know. They do weird things, and they're all wrapped up in their roles. They probably shouldn't really count as friends. There are some school friends, and some library friends, and some making out, but nothing like Augie. Nothing remotely like Augie. I should probably feel guilty I didn't mention her on the list of people I can tell everything to. But honestly, sometimes Augie doesn't feel real. The problem is she's almost never wrong. And not in an amazing at trivia way, but in a calls you up 3 days later to argue about an offhand comment you made and might even have just been joking about kind of way. She would rather be right than have friends. As a result, I'm her only friend. That's what made the conversation we're about to have so hard. I looked at the time in the car as I drove. I have about 20 minutes. I dropped my keys in the bowl by the door, gave my mom a hug, kissed my dad on the cheek. They're watching some sci-fi show that has allegories my dad will definitely miss. And then my mom will share later, quietly and surprisingly. She's very smart, but also never argues with my father. It's weird. I barrel down the hallway, narrowly avoiding a faceplant into the cake, as I nearly trip over some boxes stacked neatly outside my door. I hear my dad call from the living room. "Got you some extra boxes," he says, moments too late. "Thanks, Dad!" I holler back perfunctorily. "No problem," he bellows back, and says more quietly, "Maybe now you can start packing," before returning to his show. I shake my head. No time to fight with Dad. He can't understand there's an order to things. I have to close one thing before I start other things. Works are now closed. Packing can begin. But first, Augie must be dealt with. Augie is my current dragon. I will require my finest weapons. I start by making some of her favorite cool-down tea and put on some Lilith Fair musicians to set the mood for my inevitable and totally deserved begging of her forgiveness. I hear the doorbell ring. She is exactly on time, as always. My little hot plate has just finished heating the tea. Thank God. My mother has let her in. I take a deep breath and open the door. "Hey, come on in. So much to do before the trip. But first..." I say quickly, not even drawing a breath. I hand her the tea and gesture to her favorite spot in my room, the arm of the couch. She can sit up there and dangle her feet. She loves to kick like she's way off the ground. And she often is. A lot of our high school acquaintances called her humorless, but they just don't appreciate her whimsy. She gets desperately into fantasy books. My cordiality in such circumstances makes her immediately suspicious. I have just come back from a gathering of coworkers. Usually there's a parade of complaining before we move on to new business. The fact that I already have the tea made rather than preparing it in front of her probably sets off a few alarms too. She takes the tea from me, sits down in her favorite spot, not taking her eyes from me. I rein in my fear. This must be done. My future depends upon it. "So," I begin cautiously, "remember how cool you said it would be if we could just get in neighborhood singles at the dorm?" This is not a lie. She did say that. This is very important in any conversation with Augustine. The truth must be the basis for your assertions. She sips at the tea. Her eyes glaze slightly, and I know I've made it perfectly. She would tell me if it wasn't. And she hasn't, so it must be. If, then. When her eyes refocus, she looks at me, giving me a solid but non-committal, "Yes, I did say that." I go for it, approaching and sitting next to her on the couch, as we do whenever we're watching television together. We've been in these same places for over a decade. I actually began to get sad about leaving my house for the first time. It's all suddenly real. So, what if you could stay in a double, but be the only person living there? Her eyebrows shoot up and she sets the coffee down on a nearby bookcase. I can tell things are serious because she doesn't grab a coaster. Augie always uses coasters. "This is not what we discussed, Becky. I can afford a double. And you said you'd be my roommate. You said we were going to live together. Are you even still going to college, or is this another Yuri situation?" Ouch. Yuri was a dude I almost ruined my life over in junior year of high school. I take a few shallow breaths. Not going to get upset. Not going to cry. Stay calm, Becky. The only way to win with Augustine, stay calm, stick to facts, I say to myself. With effort, I make my voice measured. I relax. I walk over and grab my tea, which is very different from Augie's tea. I sip before turning. Augie is waiting. We have argued like this before, probably hundreds of times. This is a well-choreographed dance. Stage fighting. I turn back. I am going to college. We both are. And we will be best friends on an adventure together. Her shoulders relax slightly, and the desperate look leaves her eyes. But she's still tense, though, and I need to be careful to keep this from blowing up. But, I continue, I want to meet new people. And I'm not going to do that if we're clinging to life together on a door raft like DiCaprio should have done with Claire Danes. This is a practice trick honed through years of friendship. It was Winslet in Titanic. You know that. Her lips quirk in that near frown she has. You're doing this on purpose. Danes was Romeo plus Juliet. I smile at her helplessly, attempting to make a winning smile, but probably just looks like a leering doofus. She sighs but continues. But you don't have to. She looks directly at me, her dark green eyes staring at me like I'm a bug she's about to pin. I am hopeful. You're right, she says. You're my best and only friend, but moving into a new town and a new school is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We should meet new people, make some mistakes, and have new experiences. She catches my hand, never breaking my gaze. But we will remain best friends. You will talk to me often. You will occasionally stay the night after watching a movie. She says this with such certitude I can't do anything but nod excitedly. This is going better than I could ever have hoped. She looks away and grabs her tea and composes herself. She wipes at her eye, and I admit I'm ready to feel like crying myself. She smiles, looking down at the tea. The reality of it was weighing on me a little. I like you, but I'm not sure I want to live with you right now. Your cleaning skills are abysmal. She smirks, still not looking at me. I mean, also, no privacy. Can you imagine? I masturbate like so loud. She turns and grins at me, and I can't help it. I throw my arms around her and squeal. Thank you for being so cool about this. I was so stressed. Oh my god. I'm still hugging her and squashing her face into my chest, and I can hear her muffled words from my boobs. I step back to allow her air. So, loud masturbation, huh? It's like a cream for that. You want me to get you a ball gag? Your birthday's coming up. Don't you dare, she exclaims, pushing me over. I fall bonelessly onto the bed. Everything's going so well. Maybe college really is the best years of your life. And hey, I'm only starting real college 2 years late. That's fine. Now the really hard part is over. I can go about finding a place for me to stay. I didn't want to commit if I couldn't get Augustine on board. She's literally my only friend. I look up and she's staring at me. I hope my eyes radiate as much love for this girl as hers do for me. The moment stretches, and the silence never gets uncomfortable. Still, there's a lot I need to tell her. You'll never guess who I met at an ancient and boring riverbank. Yuri, she jokes, and the sting is gone from the name. I don't know how she does that, makes something dangerous or not just by how she says it. No, ass. I throw one of the tiny decorate pillows my mom got me at her. One of our future possible professors, and a magic thing that I didn't run away from. Of course, Augie knows my secret. She's my best friend. She knows everything. More importantly, she doesn't judge me or think I'm crazy. She grabs the pillow and falls off the arm of the couch into its thick, hideous cushions. She curls up comfortably, pillow under her head, and says, "Tell me everything."